Hi, I'm Sarah Jane from Natural Heating, and today I'm going to run the Ecoflame 2 range of stoves on test. There are 3 stoves in the range, the smallest being the Mini 2, which is only 500mm high and 4.1 kilowatt heat output at nominal. The standard, which is a 5 kilowatt and 550 millimeters high, and the largest being an 8 kilowatt, which is 575 millimeters high. So I'm just going to show you them all one by one, and then we're going to light the biggest one up and see what it does on test. So here are the 3 different models within the range, and as you can see, they are all slimline. They're nice and neat and very compact, with a great big feature pyroceramic glass door. Handles on the right hand side. They're twist turn handle rather than a lever handle, but they are lightweight and easy to use. 2 air controls, with the primary being on the left and the secondary being on the right. Now, this is the smallest in the range, which is really quite diddy. It's only 500mm high and 275mm deep, I think. About 270 deep. Nice big glass on the front. Excuse my upside down tape measure, I'm left-handed. 370mm wide. It's got a good sized firebox for a really dinky little stove. We're often looking for something that's 500 or less for small openings. Those that are 24 inches high or under it can be a problem to get anything to fit. These are a good size kiln dried log. They're not small. These have come straight out my bag as logs. So I always use kiln dried for testing, and they're just shy of 10 inches. So the internal firebox width on this, trying to do it with one hand is not easy, is, I'm going to guess about 11.5 inches wide. I can't get my hand in there and hold the tape measure and the phone at the same time, but it's a decent size. Nice little multi-fuel grate and a heavyweight ash pan. All the models are basically the same inside, apart from the depth varies. The Mini is the smallest. It's about 160 deep. The 5 kilowatt is 210 deep, as is the larger 8 kilowatts. They are slimline, 210 deep. The wide one is, I would say, about 16 inches wide internally. So, nice size units. Doors open a little bit more than 90 degrees. So a decent width of firebox opening. And plenty of space in there. These logs are fairly small in size. In diameter that is, but they fit in there no problem whatsoever. So all 3 of these models are DEFRA exempt to allow burning in smokeless zones, and as the hearth temperatures do not exceed 100 degrees centigrade, they can go in 12mm hearth. Only thing is, really are best going in fireplace openings rather than straightforward hearths, because they have quite a high clearance distance from combustibles, so they're not suitable for going against internal walls. Huge bonus though is that they all come with a direct air attachment, which just clips and bolts onto the back. Small spigot, so you can direct air straight through a wall, and they come with this rather than it being an extra that you have to spend a lot of money on. Because for some stoves, if you go and buy a direct air kit, it can cost you quite a packet, couple of £100 in some cases. So you do need to supply your own duct, but hey, at least it comes with it. With the connection, that is. All these stoves have top flue exit and a blanking plate, so that you can flue them from the top or the rear. So I'm going to light the larger one up and let's see how she rolls. So standard method for lighting a new type fire is a couple of small logs in the bottom. Turn them that way, and then a kindling pile on top. I like to stack these in the Scandinavian upside down method, because when your kindling is on the top, your fire tends to light a lot quicker and easier and heat the flue faster. So we'll put 1 fire lighter on there. Apologies for me swapping from one hand to the other, but I only have 2 and I'm left-handed and it's not always easy. So I've got a nice little Jenga pile in there. More like pick up sticks today. and my blowtorch because I've only got one hand. So just light the kindling. And for the first few minutes, I'm just going to leave the door slightly ajar until my fire catches. So we'll close the door over and just leave it on the latch to give it half a chance. As soon as the logs have caught on the bottom, I'll shut the door and we'll leave it for a while and see how it goes to get up to temperature. Whilst the 8 kilowatt is starting to heat up, before we shut the door, I'll give you a quick look inside the other ones. They're fully vermiculite lined, including a vermiculite baffle. Quite a basic little grate in the inside that the fire bricks are sat on top of. Now, nicely, the impressive thing is the baffles and the side panels all come out very easily. They just lift out. There is a secondary baffle on the top. It comes out very easily. The whole thing is very easy to dismantle. It'd be one of the few that chimney sweeps will actually like a lot because it's so easy to get in there to clean the chimney. The base and the side is also vermiculite lined under the ash pan. So I'm expecting this little unit to actually heat up and radiate heat nicely out the front because it's fully lined top to bottom. It's not been very long at all, probably around about 8 minutes, I guess, since I first lit this fire. The baffle is starting to clear at the back as it's heating up. The glass is nice and clean and the bottom logs have caught incredibly easy. It's bouncing out a good amount of heat. And it's nice and clean at the front. You can see, maybe if I zoom up a bit, you can see the tertiary air intake at the back kicking in nicely. And you can start to see clear patches coming up in the baffle where the main heat part is at the top, which is all very good. So the chimney's heated up nice and quick. It really is bouncing out a good amount of heat already. It's not very long. So far, the only thing that I can say that I would have liked to have seen is this, is that I would really like this 8 kilowatt unit to be a 5 wide, so it didn't need an air vent. Size-wise, it's a damn shame it didn't pass as a 5 nominal, but it's a good amount of heat output and it's certainly kicking plenty of heat out. 8's probably maybe its top end, maybe 9 at the best. I don't think it would push much more, so I would probably say it's going to give you about a 4 to 8 kilowatt heat output to the room. I don't think you'll stretch it much more than that given its physical size. But it's burning nice and clean. This handle is going to get hot because the heat coming through that, radiant heat through that glass is hot, and this is metal and it's not an air cooled handle, so it is going to get hot, but it's cold at the moment because it's not been on very long. So just opening the door gently and priming it for a couple of seconds. And you're not meant to open the door with fuel running in it at all. You're only meant to reload on red ember. But this is on a short flue and there's no spillage on that. So it passes a test for me. I'd be quite happy fitting that in a bungalow, given that it's not had long heat up time and it is on a short chimney. That can be detrimental to some stoves with big fireboxes, so I like to see how they run before I sell them. I'm waiting on that baffle completely clearing down before I shut the air controls down and see how much control we've got on it. This is nicely up to temperature now. I don't know if you can see in the video, but the air injection through the tertiary air intake is swirling nicely into the firebox, and the glass is very clean and nice right down the back of the retainer bar at the front, which is good. A lot of stoves, they tend to muck up behind the retainer bar, so that is pleasing. Turn off the bottom primary air because we don't need that anymore now the stove's up to temperature, and it has slowed a little, which it should do. And the top air now you can see the effect on the top of the firebox where the tertiary air has really kicked in nicely now, burning off at the gases at the top. It's really swirly, but there's not nearly so much going on at the bottom. You can hear it's really slowed down in the flue. It's not turned down as much as many of the higher end stoves, but it is a budget unit but incredibly nice budget unit at that. And don't forget, it is a DEFRA approved unit for smokeless zones, which pretty much means it has a child lock for adults to stop you from turning it right down. And by not turning it right down, it means that the stove always has the right amount of oxygen to keep that glass clean. So you need to remember that your heat control is by two methods. First of all, by the air intakes and how much air you allow into the fire. And secondly of all, by how much fuel you put into it. If we put another log in there, it's really going to bang some huge amount of heat output. So only put in the fuel that you need for the heat output you need out. It will burn lovely and clean on just one log if that is all that you require. It's a good amount of heat. The only disappointing thing in this particular 8 kilowatt model is the fact that I would really have preferred it to be a 5 wide and not need an air vent in houses that are before 2008. But on the other hand, it does come with a direct air attachment with it, which will save you a lot of money on a direct air kit compared to some higher price models. Value for money. It's a lovely little stove with a big glass. It's burning nicely, it's burning clean. The handle is getting hot, but it's not too hot to touch yet. Prime the door again. Give it a few seconds. And there's no smoke spillage out of that at all. So I'd be happy to recommend it even on shorter length flues in bungalows or in a 2-storey house. And it'll make a decent value buy. I hope you've enjoyed this little review. One little last outtake for Dave. Fuel's getting down quite well. I've just opened the air up because it's not far off reload. This will go down the ember. This is hot, but just about manageable by hand. Definitely needs a glove. I think she'll kick back. No problem from ember. Zoom in, she's smoking, catching. Retaken without too much issue at all. Just turn it back to minimum air. It's perfectly happy on minimum air. Top and bottom. Stays nice and clean. Don't see a lot of point in controlling it really, other than just putting how much fuel you put in because it stays nice. The whole point is you burn as little fuel as possible. So I'd say it's probably on a 4 to 5 on low air. Topping out at 8. Pretty, isn't it? Still nice and clean. No glass tarnishing at all.